Hi, my dear friends. Today I am going to discuss about an X-ray image. I will go the description of this image. So the given image is of a patient suffering from HIV/AIDS, and now this patient developed TB of lung bilaterally. So why it is important to study or to clear or to check that the person has TB or not in a patient especially suffering from HIV. So because we know that HIV is such a disorder or the disease caused by a virus, and HIV virus, and this virus causes the decrease in the immunity of the body by destroying the body immunity cells. So depending upon the level of the cells, depending upon the CD4 count in such a patient will become more prone to different sort of diseases. So if the patient has CD4 count till 400, till 200, less than 200, 50, less than 50, so depending upon all the levels of the CD4 count, the patients undergo more severe co-infections with HIV disease. So in this patient, what we can see abnormality in the chest x-ray. So number first, this chest x-ray is observed chest x-ray, and it is the AP view, and it is a rigid x-ray because we can see the vertebral column clearly, and the contour is clear here of the vertebral columns in this region. So the first thing that you need to know is that you need to first see the x-ray, either every organ, ribs, the lungs, the diaphragm, clavicle, they are clearly seen in this image or not. If not, then we cannot say that this is an observed x-ray. So let's go for the abnormalities or the consolidations they are present in the chest. So first of all, we need to check the borders of the lung, the angles of the lung. Okay, so the diaphragmic and costodiaphragmic angle is clear on the both sides, so there is no pleural effusion, either there is no pneumothorax or hydrothorax or hemothorax, or the pleural cavity is clear. Number second, if we see the lung ribs, they are also clear. Okay, the average is high. Okay, number third, what we need to check, we need to see that the on the upper lobe of the lung there are some shadows. Okay, that is not clear. It is not like it resembles like the normal configuration of the lung, and there are also some widening of the lung roots, while the heart border is clear. There is no enlargement of the heart border, and the cardiothoracic ratio is normal. So these are the initial points you need to understand before going through the discussion of the x-ray. So let's see on the right side of the lung that what's going on here. So on the right side of the lung, on the upper lobe, we can see that there are some cavities formation here. So the cavity is very weak intensity. The wall is very thin on this side and little bit thick on this side, and in the center we have a necrotizing mass, or the inflammatory process is going on here. So we need to know that uh, in such conditions, when the person is getting suffer from TB, there is the appearance of formation of the small foci. This turn into infiltrative foci, infiltrative shadow. Then this undergoes a formation of a cavity, and there are acute form of the cavity, there is subacute and chronic cavities. So in chronic cavities, what happened, that membrane is very thick, and intensity is very high. While in case of acute fresh forming cavity, it is not subacute, it is fresh forming cavity. Okay, so in fresh forming cavity, the margin of the capsule, or sorry, the capsule of the cavity is very thin, and inside there is a heterogeneous material. So in both conditions we compare and check, we will see that either this cavity is acute or not, either this cavity is chronic or not, either which phase of inflammatory process is this. So we said that the cavity, we can see a cavity here, a big cavity. The wall here is thick and the wall is here is thin. So let's go through the 9 regulatory R factors. There is, on the right side of the lung, we see that the location is on the upper lobe of the right lung. The shape is irregular to round, we can see. Okay. The sizes includes 1, 2, 3 ribs, 2 intercostal spaces, approximately 6 to 7 or 8 centimeter size. And the contour is unclear. Contour means the borders. Okay, so the borders are not clear. We cannot see properly a cavity here. So unclear contour. The intensity is weak and it is non-homogeneous structure. So if we see on the left side, we can see that the consolidation is present on the upper lobe. There are again cavities, but the cavity is not so clearly seen. So we can say that this is in the phase of infiltration or in the infiltration form. So here we can say cavity, okay, in this region. So again it is in the left lung, the location is in upper lobe. The shapes are unclear, so it is not so clearly visible. The borders are not clearly visible. We cannot identify among the cavities. Okay, so we can say that the shape is irregular or round. So most probably the shape is irregular, and the size is approximately 2 to 3 centimeter size. Contour is again unclear contour. We cannot differentiate the borders, so the contour is unclear. Okay, weak to average intensity, and the structure is non-homogeneous because we can see here white, here black, white. Okay, so that's why we can see that the structure is non-homogeneous or heterogeneous structure. So these are the points about when we going to study about the chest X-ray. So what should be our conclusion? Our conclusions should based on what we saw in this X-ray image. If we talk about the right side of the lung, then what should be our conclusion? It should be the consolidation or the cavity which is forming on the right side of the lung. It is a fresh acute forming cavity. It is gigantic because the size is so big, and there is also involvement of the lung roots. So we can say that there is a dissemination of bronchogenic dissemination. So this bronchogenic dissemination leads to the formation of the cavity in the upper lobe, or the TB spreading of the TB infection. So right upper lobe, acute fresh forming gigantic cavity with wide lung root. While in the left side of the image, what we can see, we already said that it is an infiltrative form because the borders are not clear. The shadow is not so visible, but there is a differentiation. Somewhere it is hyperdense, somewhere it is, we can say what the intensity is high, somewhere the intensity is weak, and in between the weak and average intensities, so different intensities, and the cavities are forming. So in the left upper lobe of the lung, there is an infiltrative form with the cavity formation. So cavity formation is what is a complication, of the TB. So for example, a person has TB here. If his immunity is okay, can defend and destroy the TB, and now there is a formation of calcified mass. But in HIV patient, the immunity is very weak. A person fails, a person is not able to fight against the TB. So rapidly, this acute foci convert into a chronic cavity forming condition. So cavity forming is a complication. So this is about the X-ray of a patient, HIV patient, suffering from bilateral upper loop lung TB with cavity formation. So the treatment will go depending upon the patient condition and the criteria of the WHO. Thank you so much.